We are going to cover environmental emergencies. And we're going to start by discussing homeostasis. What is homeostasis?
Balance of all body systems.
Yeah, all of your body systems are balanced. And that's how your body likes to function best, right? Your body functions best when all of your systems are balanced appropriately. As soon as one of them gets out of whack, your body adjusts something to try and fix it. If you go into acidosis of some type, your body tries to blow off, that's its first response, try and blow off that extra acid by increasing your respiratory rate. Okay? So when we talk about environmental emergencies are something that somehow, in some way, affects the body's homeostasis. Your body likes to be at a specific temperature. 98.6 is typical. Some people run a little cooler, some people run a little hotter, but 98.6 is typical. If something happens to your body to affect it, to throw that temperature out of whack, then your body doesn't like it and tries to fix it. If your body can't fix it anymore, then we wind up with some type of an emergency. Okay? So when we talk about the factors, we're going to talk about the factors that affect exposure. Exposure is your body's reaction to the elements. Okay? So when we talk about the factors that affect exposure, one of the first ones is physical condition. This is probably not going to show up very well on that video. Why is physical condition a factor in how your body responds to an exposure?
If you're healthier, your body will adjust better. If you're like sick or something like that, it's going to have a tougher time adjusting.
Okay, so if you are healthier, you keep yourself fit, you don't have an excess of flab, you're not too skinny, your body's going to have an easier time adjusting to whatever's going on. Why is that important?
If you are treating somebody who's in poor physical condition, then their state is going to deteriorate possibly faster.
Right. Also, your time period for response versus recovery is longer if you're dealing with someone who is in a good physical condition versus someone who's not, right? Because if we are dealing with a person who's lost, let's say, let's talk about you, Corey, shall we? Okay, if you go out into the Owyhees and you tell your family, hey family, I'm going to be at this coordinate and I'll be back on Monday. You leave on a Friday. I'll be back on Monday morning, no later than noonish. Okay? You go out to that coordinate and you camp, and unbeknownst to you, there's a storm coming in on Sunday night and you can't get out on Monday. You're stuck in the Owyhees. Are you more likely to survive, or am I more likely to survive?
You could be a survival expert.
Okay, let's go with physical condition only.
Probably me,
Probably you. Why?
because I'm in better physical condition.
You're in better physical condition than me. Yeah. There's no shame in that. You're in better physical condition than I am. Hell, you're probably all in better physical condition than I am, right? So you're probably more likely to survive than I am because your nervous system is in good shape, your muscular system is in good shape, your endocrine system is probably functioning normally. So your body systems are better regulated than mine. So you're more likely to be able to make the adjustments necessary to keep yourself alive. Okay? If we have an old lady and me, I'll probably outlast the old lady. Maybe. You know, unless she's that old woman who, you know, lifts 100 or 227 pounds, that woman, she'll probably outlast me.
There's a wide group of variables that affect all this, because you're also thinking about, you're not taking into consideration training, or do you have, compare the two of you, I'm going to generally assume that you guys can pass a physical without any red flags, but you might take somebody else who has, let's say, diabetic problems. This exacerbates things because now they've already got a count against them. So you guys might actually survive the thing, whereas somebody with a diabetic issue is not going to fare well at all under these.
You're right. So when we're talking about these factors, we are talking specifically about physical condition. So bringing in this factor. So bringing up diabetes is a valid point. Someone who's suffering from diabetes and may run out of insulin because insulin needs to be refrigerated, or may go into a hypoglycemia. That person is not likely to survive as long or as well as one of us. When we talk about training, that is different from physical condition altogether.
Agreed. Okay.
Okay? Okay, so the next thing that we're going to talk about as a factor is age. Why does age play a factor into your risk for exposure?
Younger and older have a harder time like adapting to different things. They're just like their nervous system and things just aren't either fully developed or just not working properly.
Okay?
They bounce back better. Well, okay, no. Very young, older folks don't bounce back as much as young adults.
Right. So if we're dealing with very young people or very old people, they have lost the ability to provide for their own thermoregulation. That's why you can walk into an assisted living center with a fire on in the front room and see elderly people who are in 3 layers of sweatshirts because they don't have the ability to regulate their own temperature. Infants are born essentially without the ability for thermoregulation, and it takes a little bit of time for them to get that ability. Elderly people grow into it and then they grow out of it again because their fat tissues start to diminish. All right.
Age is a dieting factor.
What?
I said age is a dieting factor.
Okay, nutrition and hydration. Why is that an important factor when it comes to exposure risks?
If you say 2 people go and are in a really hot desert, somebody who's very well hydrated is going to last longer than somebody who's not hydrated. They'll just start becoming dehydrated sooner. They don't have as enough liquids inside of them. Same with nutrition. Their body's going to start breaking down the muscle tissue and the fat cells and everything in order to survive. If you have some sort of nutrition inside of you, then it'll do that prior to breaking down your body.
Okay, and when we talk about nutrition, do you think that the type of nutrition that's available to the person plays a role in whether or not they survive?
Yes.
What kind of nutrition do you think is appropriate for someone who's planning on an exposure? People don't plan on exposures, so.
A lot of calories.
What'd you say, Dusty?
I would say high caloric,
High caloric. What else?
Not
high protein.
High protein.
High protein. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
not fatty, like
Not fatty, not sugary, not chocolate, not Quaker granola bars. Now, if you're out on a trip and you get stuck and the only thing you have is Quaker granola bars, by all means, eat those. But you should plan on taking some jerky and maybe some meat and, hot dogs don't count. Sorry,
But
hot dogs don't count.
hydration is key because
Hydration is
you're
very
going to go
important.
down in a couple of days without water, whereas you might last a whole month without a meal.
Probably not coherent, but yeah, you might last that long without a meal.
Halloween.
All right, the last thing that is a factor in exposure is the environmental conditions. I do not like these markers. Let me grab another one. Why does environmental condition play a role in exposure?
the worse the conditions, then the worse that person is going to have to deal with it. Like, if it's cold, that sucks, but if it's windy and it's cold, that really sucks.
Yeah. You're more likely to survive for a longer period of time if you're not in extremes of temperature either way. If you're not in an area that's too hot or not in an area that's too cold. If we take you from here and we dump you in the middle of what's the big Death Valley? Death Valley. I was going to say the big dead desert. We take you from here and we dump you in the middle of Death Valley. You're not likely to survive as long there as you would if you were here in the mountains in May. Okay, Death Valley has extremes in temperatures on both sides. Super, super hot during the day, super, super cold during the night.
Sounds like where we work.
Are you falling asleep in my class? Stupid kid. Okay. We are going to spend some time talking about conduction, convection, evaporation, radiation, and respiration. And there are 5 of you, and there are 5 methods of heat transfer. So you are going to explain those to us.